Welcome or welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people, where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe galaxy. Why not? Let's go over the pond this evening and talk to Martin Fleming from England, a lovely nation, by the way. I love England. It's a great place. You know, over the years, you've been a long time listener of Aaron's Opinion. I've been aware of what you do in the space. And like I said a moment ago, you know, the magic behind Martin Fleming is the more times you talk to me, the more I realize that I want to talk to you. So you really had a really spectacular life so far, and you have a lot going for you, and you have a lot of creative ideas, mate. So why don't you kind of start, I guess, by walking through the life story, who Martin Fleming is, how you built your coaching business, how you built your podcast, how you kind of needed to put the podcast on a pause, on a hiatus, and then of course your company, your startup that you want to get started in, and all of that. And here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to mute the microphone, and we're going to talk today for a while, good hour and a half. And anything we don't get to, don't worry about it, because I can already feel a part 2 and a part 3 out of you. So why don't let me ask you this: who's Martin Fleming? Tell me that whole story. Go.
Well, that's a very big question, that one. And thank you for the introduction. Very good. And so, who am I? So, I'm obviously, as you know, I'm in the UK. I grew up in the southeast of England. I was born with my eye condition. I've got a rare genetic eye condition. Had some vision up until I was about 16 and a half, but I went to a school for the blind and partially sighted. And I then went on to various colleges, some being colleges specifically for visually impaired again, and others being mainstream colleges. I then went from there, and I went to university and did computer science. And once I was there, I had a year out and went and worked for Ericsson, who then kept me on full time, Ericsson Telecom, as a software engineer. And then I moved from software engineering on one side of the cycle to test engineer, and then I was unfortunately made redundant. Now, when I was made redundant, that was when kind of my whole career kind of path changed altogether. So first off, I because I'd been into a lot of sport, and I used to be in the British Blind judo squad and things like that. So I thought I kind of knew quite a lot about fitness and nutrition and health and stuff like that. So I kind of went into that and was doing some direct sales for quite a big kind of well-known nutrition company in that space. And from that, because I was dealing with clients for health and nutrition issues and weight management issues and those sort of things, and you're kind of consulting stroke coaching and helping and supporting people, that kind of led me to kind of want to do something further with people. I wasn't totally sure at that point. I did look at life and business coaching, but I also at the time I went through a personal kind of crisis with a divorce and stuff like that. So I had counselling, and I then thought, well, I'll do some counselling and psychotherapy, and I did a foundation course, and I couldn't afford to do the diploma, so that was what then led me back to the life and business coaching and executive coaching, which I then did the diploma in that. And I was living in Ireland at the time. I spent 12 years in Ireland, and I started my coaching practice there, built that. We unfortunately hit the global recession, and I, like a lot of clientele, fell away because people didn't have money and kind of et cetera, et cetera. My partner at the time, she then got work back in the UK. So that was what brought us back in 2014 to the UK. And I then was kind of toying with, do I relaunch my coaching practice, or do I kind of look at going into employment, trying to get a steady income and that kind of thing? So I was kind of doing a bit of both, which kind of is difficult because then you don't have any 100% focus on what you're doing, really. But I eventually got some work as a volunteer coordinator. That's probably one thing you don't know about me, Aaron, is that I've done volunteer coordination as well. So I did that for a bit. Then I left that job. That came to an end, and I decided then to kind of just relaunch my coaching. Then that was about 2000. Well, kind of the process was a bit kind of long-winded, really, but because I was trying to reshape and kind of think, well, how can I relaunch and what's my offers and all that sort of stuff. So 2021, I properly officially went self-employed and relaunched my coaching practice. And my target audience is really been kind of, I do career and business coaching, and it's been senior level professionals is really what I've been trying to break into. But the type of coaching is transformational coaching, where I help people to rediscover their passion and like get re-energized about what they do, and work-life balance side of things as well, so that that and it's all kind of well-being, but it's all around passion and value, kind of valuing what you believe in, and doing what you love and what you're kind of really passionate about, and what's going to get you up in the morning. So, and a lot of people, especially in high senior positions, seem like they lose that. They can lose that after a while, especially with big corporate pressure and that kind of thing. So it's either finding that in what they're rediscovering that in what they're doing still in that existing work, or looking at what's changed and what they may have changed, their outlook might have changed on stuff. So it's what energizes them, what makes them passionate now, and get and working out then what is it that what kind of work do they want to do, and help them kind of identify that according to their beliefs, values and passions and stuff like that. So that on and off I've been doing coaching since 2008 when I qualified, and I've worked with a wide variety of people, and young people. I really enjoy actually doing young people coaching as well, employability, mainly kind of career and employability. I've worked within the disability sector as well. And I'd like to do a bit more of that, but I was trying to get more bread and butter work, kind of more work that would pay more than what you might be able to out of the charitable sector or the disability community or whatever. From there then, that's kind of what I've been doing for the last few years. And then only the beginning of this year, I was actually playing around with AI, and it was more to look at creating a coaching app. So I didn't actually go out to kind of create anything else. I was looking at how can I enhance my existing coaching business, and what else can I offer. So and I was playing around with one of the AI platforms and brainstorming various things, and then I thought, okay, what else have I got experience with, and what kind of tends to trend or be quite popular. And so I kind of then, because I'm a single parent, I kind of came up with kind of dating apps and dating platforms. And I've I'm on many and have been on other, so I've got kind of quite a wide breadth of experience with them. And I kind of thought, okay, so what's the issues with those platforms or those apps? What do I want to kind of try and solve? And some of it is all around accessibility. So I've named the app Spectrum with an O, which is the SPECT from Spectrum as a wide range of people or whatever, and the ROM comes from romance, basically. But it's kind of dating and friendship app and platform rather than just dating, I suppose. But it's kind of made of a 3-pillar philosophy, and that's like the first one is total accessibility. So it's going to be built with accessibility from ground up. So a bit like your Apple products type of thing. I'm planning this to be like the Apple of the dating app world. And then because what I found was with your mainstream dating and social networking apps and stuff like that, or platforms, excuse me, is that accessibility is hit and miss. So you have kind of some functions work, others you can't access, or they don't work with voiceover or particular screen readers or whatever. And those particular companies or and app businesses don't want to invest money into accessibility. It's like a bit of an add-on and kind of and that's why it then becomes ad hoc and whether it kind of works or not. And then the next pillar is an audio first philosophy. So because of the whole sight impairment, and that's my lived experience, but also as a coach and very much into personal development, I also wanted to get away from the whole swipe culture that exists in these dating and friendship apps and platforms where people aren't actually reading any profiles. They're just looking at pictures and kind of, I know we live in a very visual world and people do this all the time, is judge from sight. But I wanted it to have a more authentic and deeper connection feel to it, and be able to be more so people could get an idea of who those people are. So a few of the kind of things it'll be able to do would be that you'll be able to write your bio as usual and your profile, intro, whatever, but you'll also be able to record it. People will be able to hear what you're actually like and get a sense of who you are, as well as there might be like audio prompts, a bit like you on some of these apps. You get small icebreaker type questions or intro questions. There'll be ones where you can record your answers to those as well. So there's many other kind of audio features going to be built in there. I'm hoping to integrate things like people will get a sense of what kind of things you like from, maybe you can, I'm hoping I'll be able to kind of have it where it links with something like Audible, and you can see what books people like or those sort of things. A bit like they do with some apps with Spotify and those sort of things, where you can link songs or tracks and that kind of stuff. And then the final last pillar of Spectrum is going to be a multi-layered verification and secure community. So, because the other thing I find is there's so many, even on the mainstream kind of apps and things, there's lots of scam profiles and fake profiles and all that kind of stuff, and lots of bots and things like that that get through. And if like the focus is on the kind of visually impaired and blind and wider disability community, because obviously, like with the accessibility being built in from ground up, it's going to be able to be available to the wider disability community. It's a vulnerable group. So, like, I mean, anyone on those apps anyway deserves to be safe. I mean, there's other, like lots of other kind of just general issues around that. But as a vulnerable group, or considered a vulnerable group, it's even more so important. So, so there's going to be multi-layered verification. Like not only from a kind of facial ID or an ID verifications, but there'll be things working in the background to verify your image. When you upload a profile image, for example, it'll go off and it'll just make sure that it's not a spoof profile image, that's like a stock image somewhere, and that kind of thing. Also, your audio recording for your profile will be scanned as well, and you'll be given an opportunity to record a small audio recording live, and then it will go away and it will compare those two together to make sure that that's, you're not just trying to con it by uploading other like audio or whatever. So it's going to be very difficult. I'm reluctant to say that like there's no way that a scam is going to get on, but because I'm opening myself up for challenges, but that's the plan, is to make it very, very difficult, that it's not really worth their while. Now, I know the counter argument to that would be that, well, people might not hang around because they've got hoops to jump through or whatever, but like, as I said, the idea is that I'm working towards the approaches for people that want a deeper connection. So if you want that safety, you want that deeper and authentic connection and be in a safe community, then, you'll kind of make sure that you have that. So with that in mind, I'm hoping that, because I've also had this fed back to me on kind of groups and things, is that, well, about the whole, we shouldn't need a specific app. What I'm hoping is, because of the authenticity and the deeper connection side of it, and the way it's going to be built, that's going to encourage and attract other non-disabled people with those same values and authenticity and kind of values to join that as well. So that's kind of the idea and the plan for that. It's in very early stages. I as I say, as a project, I started design and business plans and all that kind of quite early at the beginning of this year. And the actual company now, which is it's a community, what we call over here, I don't know what it might be called in America, but community interest company. So like a company for social impact and that kind of thing. And because it's a community interest company, the kind of mission and purpose of that that underlines that is to tackle digital isolation within the kind of visually impaired and wider disability community. But yeah, I mean, it's and it only really got incorporated like eventually the process for that with our registration people wasn't exactly the greatest accessibility experience either, but after a while, I managed, it got done, so it's officially a limited company now as of like the 8th of October. But so because of that, as I say, it's in very infant stages. The development is probably not going to start until kind of mid of next year, because I need to obtain and secure funding. I've got a few grant bids in at the moment. And the kind of bigger investments, what I call seed funding round, that once I secure that, which I'm hoping will be, middle of next year, that's when the full development process will start. And I'll have to hire a development team. I won't actually be developing it myself. Although I've got that software background, I haven't worked in the industry for over 20 odd years. So, I've got enough to actually obviously have that oversight. And then I've got that whole people factor for that, but as well to drive my vision and mission forward. But I am building an exec board currently. I've got a couple of interviews coming up, so I'm building that kind of skills sets that I lack around me as well, because that's very important as well. And so it is going to be a while. It's probably not going to be until 2027 till we have a beta out there to test and things like that. But what I encourage is anyone that's interested is that they can. I've got a landing page on the website, and they can sign up for that and put themselves on a waiting list. And by doing that, also as a founding member, they get the opportunity to actually be the first testers, and also to get a founding kind of price for kind of life membership type thing. And that well, the website for that is Spectrom, like I spelt it before, spectrom.co.uk. The rollout will be in the UK and Ireland initially, but I will be then kind of expanding that and rolling that out into further countries later on. Like the US and other places like Australia and whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of everything in a nutshell, really. It's kind of not sure how much more kind of you want to hear, Aaron, really.
Well, absolutely. All of that is absolutely fascinating. Just everything you said really, really definitely spoke to me today already. And you do such a great job with explaining your origin and all these various projects. It's overly clear to me that you're someone who has spent a lot of time thinking critically about society around us. That's what you do. You're a thinker. You're a thinker and a doer. And I think that says everything. Yeah, I mean, I think Spectrum is a truly remarkable idea and a really good one. And I think that one of the most interesting things is that it could incorporate people without disability. If you ask me, I would tell you that I think everybody has ability and everybody has disability. All people are somewhat, and we have to have the strength to make fun of ourselves and tease ourselves a little, but everybody's a little bit disabled these days. So I think so. I think an app like yours would be really, really attractive for people and really fun for people. The effect of an app where it was initially developed for dating and friendship for the blind, I don't know what the effect would be on sighted people. I don't know if they would be intimidated by the audio aspect or not. I do know that more and more people, whether they're blind or not, are turning to podcasting and audio content, and that part is true. But I don't know what the truest effect would be if you really look into that. I think that would be,
but
yeah. Mm-hmm.
but it's still going to have that you're still going to be able to upload your images if you want to, and it's still going to have, you're still going to have your text, you're going to have your image, and down the line, I mean, it won't be in the first versions or anything, but I'm looking at doing kind of even kind of online virtual events that, kind of building kind of stuff in there so people can mix together as well. So it's not just going to take the whole visual thing away. There will be kind of stuff there still for that, but it's more that's the approach is going to be the more audio approach rather than the kind of more geared around the visuals, that kind of stuff. So yeah, and in terms of inclusiveness as well, and what I always forget to mention this as well. So I mentioned about the exec board. Now I'm at early stages, so I'm not quite where I want to be with this. But my promise within building the company is that I'm going to have an inclusive exec board, and there's going to be a high portion of percentage of people with disabilities on the board. Obviously, they've got to meet those particular exec standards, and have those senior positions or whatever experience. But that's the plan, and that's what I'm. I kind of didn't want to say it was a commitment, because I feel sometimes that certain companies talk about commitments, and it's kind of just a word that's bandied about. So I feel kind of maybe a promise is, maybe for me anyway, a person, when I make a promise, it's something I stick by. So and I feel that that's just a little bit stronger. So right now that's right now as things stand, there's myself and another non-executive director who are visually impaired. So the other two that I'm going to be interviewing, as far as I know, they haven't got a disability, but I don't know right now until I speak to them. But yeah, that's kind of the plan, is to build inclusivity and authenticity and all that kind of stuff within the culture of the business as well. Kind of sounds like quite out there and quite kind of high things to achieve, but I it's the whole reason for also making it a social impact company is also that the way it works over here is that there's two types. Now, the one that I've chosen is what's called a community interest company limited by shares. So it still has shares. And so that allows me to get that angel investor or social impact investor later on, and get that kind of money that I need to develop the software and the platform. But it means that whatever profit is, they have what they call an asset lock, and it's 65% of that profit goes back into the company to either support and further develop what the company is doing, or to help and to be able to provide, contribute towards other projects or other charities or non-profit companies and all that kind of thing that are in a similar kind of area as what we would be trying to do. So in terms of combating isolation or whatever, those sort of things, then you can use that. So and then the 35% of the profits is what can be then shared out between whatever shareholders you have. The idea with the reason I like that, and apart from needing to do it and structure it in that way for the funding side of it, I like the whole asset lock with the 65%, because that allows the company to grow and to almost be self-sustaining eventually. So that's kind of, so yeah. So I'm now just talking and talking, and I'm not giving you a chance to say anything, Aaron.
I don't want to, I don't, but I don't, you see, I don't want a chance to talk. This is your turn to talk, you see. That's why I created Aaron's Opinion, to give the microphone to you, Martin. Absolutely. And I've been fascinated by you for years. I've been trying to get you to talk for years, so I want you to talk. Um, that this is, so, okay, here's what I really think. I think it's a really good idea. I think you are really, really, really on top of it, mate. You absolutely are. I do think one of the hardest things for you will be, in fact, I promise you that the hardest thing for you will be getting blind people to pay for this app. As you know, and I'm sure it's similar in England, but as you probably know, many, many, many blind people in the States where I'm from are unemployed or underemployed. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay. So
the
I got up.
greater reality of this is that when you are underemployed or unemployed, you're very unwilling to part with your money,
Yeah.
whether it's a dollar or a pound. You're very unwilling to part with your money. So I think the hardest thing for you will be developing and figuring out basically the elasticity of all of this and figuring out, well, how many pounds or how many dollars do I really have to charge a blind person to not only get a blind person to pay, but to get a blind person to stay, right? It's
Okay.
almost like, here's how I think of it. And I'm just creating an imaginary analogy. My imagination is quite an experience. So brace for impact. Let's say that you open a pub, right? And
Mm.
that's a great idea. And they have a lot of delicious beers and wines and coffees and teas, and it's a lot of fun. But you notice, well, the prices were so high that nobody actually came back. Well, that's a problem if you own a pub. So if you own an app like this, it's not
Mm.
about, it is about getting people to sign up, certainly, but
Mm.
it's about getting people to stay as a long-term commitment. And I think
Mhm.
in our environment, that this is going to be even harder. It's going to get harder and harder each year. What research have you done about this?
So I got a couple of things to that. So firstly, because this was a thing that kind of came up, and um, I looked at, and I was like, okay, I need to solve this issue. So firstly, I get fed up with these apps and dating and whatever apps where they say, oh yeah, join for free, or you can download and join for free or whatever, and then when you go to use it, you can't do anything. You can't really do anything. So you can kind of use basic functions. You can search for people. You can't message anyone. You can't do anything. And I was like, that really kind of irritates me and annoys me, especially when you don't know the accessibility levels. So then, like, even if you take your chance and you go, okay, like um, I'm gonna subscribe, and see how it goes, and then you find that you still can't use half the stuff because it's not accessible. Um, so, and I used a dating platform quite a few years back now when I was still in Ireland, and that was really good because it, like, you signed up for free and you could still message people, which was really good. You didn't have to upgrade and stuff. There was other features, of course. There was other features if you subscribe, um, but the general communicating with someone, matching with them and community, it was great. You could still do it. So that's kind of what I'm building into this. So there's still going to be functions where people can still match, they can still communicate. It it's not going to have the audio level. It will have, so you'll be able to write your text messaging and stuff like that to them. A bit like, kind of, I suppose, like in Messenger, that type of stuff, or whatever. It'd be that kind of, and you'd have your chat kind of, different chats and stuff with whoever. But it's also, so there's going to be functionality that will be there on the paid subscription, um, as well. And then the other thing, what I wanted to look at was, so I mean, I can't really help with the one you're saying about the $1 thing and people not wanting to pay. you have to set a price somewhere. So now most of these things out there are I mean, just far too expensive. I mean, some subscriptions, they want like £39 a month from you or so, which, I mean, what's that in dollars? 40 odd dollars or so. And when you're out of work, as you say, or on a low income, you can't afford like that. That's like that's almost like $500 or whatever a year. Now that doesn't sound much if you're earning like 500 a week or whatever, but like for people who are not working, that's a lot of money, especially when you're trying to run a house and you've got family. Um, so the standard paid subscription is, like, as I say, at the moment, I don't know about kind of pricing internationally unless it just gets converted over. I haven't really looked that far because obviously the immediate launch and establishing it in the marketplace will be in the UK and Ireland. So the standard launch, standard subscription is going to be 16. What's it now? 16.99, I think it is, a month. But I'm also going to have a rate which I'm calling an access rate, which is, so you've got to prove that you're out of work, you're on benefits or that kind of thing, because like it, and it's got to go according to work, because over here anyway, you can be on certain benefits and get money from certain benefits, but you could still be working. So that's a bit unfair, I thought. If I just did it according to disability benefits or whatever, that isn't going to be so fair. So it's all about if you're kind of unemployed and you've got to prove that you're unemployed according to whatever benefits you're on for that, social welfare or whatever. And that rate is going to be £8.49. So it's hard to make it less than that, because obviously the company's still got to make money. That's what it is. I know it's a social impact company, but it's not a charity. And if it's going to be self-sustaining, then it's got to make some kind of money. So that's kind of how I'm tackling that at the moment. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, how that goes. But I'm pretty confident that making it like the free level still functional, and that people can still use it and match and kind of get to know each other and one thing another, that that's still going to make it quite attractive on that level. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
It does. It does, and that's great. It does, and that's really, really, really excellent. Yeah. No, that'll work. And I think that's what apps do. They have different rates. One of the companies I work for right now, currently, when I'm not podcasting, I work, and one of the companies I work for has basically different rates that a student would pay, because I'm a teacher, so I teach online, and they would say, if you're a student from this country, you pay X, and if you're a student from this country, you pay X. So it does depend on the country or region. So that's a huge thing too to consider. What country are they in? Because everybody values money differently. $100 to me and £100 to you, are two different things. I mean, sure, it's the same number, but we value it differently. Or that's a huge thing.
And like, obviously, like when I come to that whole kind of phase of rolling it out into other countries, I've got a lot of other learning curves and lots of other things to kind of sort out, such as what taxes and kind of what the compliance legislations are and various things like that. So I can't do everything all at once. So.
Sure, of course not. Of course not. Nothing happens in one night. They didn't build Rome in a night. You can't build an empire in one night. You can't build a podcast in a night. Nothing is immediate and nothing is finite. It's all just taking the steps, having the conversations, day by day, year by year, until you get somewhere, But this is yes.
Yeah, I forgot all about my podcast. I didn't mention my podcast, did I?
I remember it, and that's well. How about this? How about I'll mention your podcast?
You didn't mention my podcast. Give me something to say. So yeah, my podcast. So
Your podcast, which let's for the listener here, guys, let's kind of rewind our brain. So
mm,
so I found out about you a few years back when we started communicating, from the get go, as we say on my side of the pond. You posted your podcast somewhere. I don't remember where, but I remember I was impressed. I really liked Coach on the Couch, right? I really liked that. So, and that really struck me as really well done. And I'm someone who likes to think about things philosophically. So, yeah, what's, to kind of rewind and talk a little bit more, kind of go into a little side street here about, Coach on the Couch and your philosophy, because that's a very important thing and a very good thing.
yeah. So I mean, it's a bit of a frustrating topic for me right now, but
Sure. Well, I can help you. What's going on?
but we'll get to that bit in a minute. So yeah, so it kind of started. So obviously I've spoken about being a coach and stuff, and then I another kind of way. It basically he's a friend and colleague of mine now who. And he does coaching and mentoring, and he's done that kind of stuff as well. And he does support work as well. In the healthcare sector and stuff like that, in learning disabilities and stuff. But he was my PA or support worker for a while, and we used to have these discussions, and he always used to go, "Oh, I wish I was recording this," and he's like, he'd say. Like you always come out with these golden nuggets, and he used to call them Martin's golden nuggets. So,
That's odd. That's odd and endearing all at the same time.
yeah,
It's a little strange.
yeah. Depends on how you look at that. It could be, it could be kind
there's
of.
There's a lot of connotation. There's a lot of different connotations.
But yeah, we often used to throw things around, and he'd ask me questions, and we'd have these like discussions, and then he said, "Oh, you should really do a podcast." And I said, "Well, yeah, but I don't want to just, my response to that was like, I don't really want to do a podcast where I'm just sat there, and just kind of talking at people, or kind of it's just all my view and it's just how I think or whatever." And and I said, like, it'd be great if we could do something like this, where I'm just we're sat chatting about the various topic or whatever, and so he decided he agreed to be my co-host, and like he was able to do it for a while, and eventually he got busy and he had to kind of back off after a while and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that was really good, and that's I really enjoy that, because yes, I'm a coach, and I have stuff I have my own value I can put to stuff, and my own experience and all that. But it's nice to kind of be able to get other people's thoughts and views on it as well, and just kind of thrash the topic really, and which kind of I think helps other people just have some other insight into it. You're not just telling them what to think or whatever, that you're giving them different perspectives, and then they can take what they need to take from that. And I really like that kind of idea and format, and it was kind of a very kind of casual, as the name suggests, it's kind of coach on the couch. So it's not like a therapy session. It's more like two people chatting about something, and it's but you get value from it. I had a manager off of LinkedIn actually message me and say that as well, and respond to a post I did on there one time. And he goes, "Yeah, it's really down to earth, and I like how down to earth it is, and this and that was great. I didn't get many comments on LinkedIn, so I really thought that was really good." We've done things from being problem focused to solution focused, and loneliness. We've done mental health. We've done a whole range of stuff. I haven't actually put episodes 50 and 51 up. They are kind of mainly done. They've been done for a good while, but I just haven't managed to get around to it. But that's kind of then what brings me on to my frustrations, as I was saying. So my original co-host Steve, he kind of backed off a bit, and I kind of I said, okay, even if you could do an episode with me every 3 or 4 weeks or whatever, or whatever. No, what would it have been? Every 6 weeks. I was like, then at least I'm still doing an episode with the original co-host and stuff like that. And then I wanted to build up another pool of kind of co-hosts, not just have guests on, but have some regular co-hosts that I could do it with, and I could cycle round so that someone didn't always have to do it every 2 weeks, because that was what the frequency of the podcast was meant to be. And I found another friend of mine was happy enough to do it. He's always concerned because he's not a coach, and I keep telling him, it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, it's all about your views on whatever as well, and your thoughts on it. You don't have to be a qualified coach or whatever. Of course, it would be nice to have someone who does that kind of stuff as well, or is into personal development. So I also found another lady in the US there who she's got a real interest in personal development, but she's also busy juggling other stuff as well, and has her own business and runs a charity and all that. So and then you've got the time difference as well. So that was, I was finding that kind of challenging anyway as well, to some degree, and everything's just kind of fallen away a bit. Then on top of that, now obviously I've got the new company, so right now it's definitely had to kind of be put to one side. I need to get these 2 episodes I have got done out, but it's not something I want to give up on. I do want to go back to it, but I don't. So where my struggle is now, and I'd be interested to hear if you have any kind of insight into this or any ideas. Or I'm putting you on the spot, Aaron, but as a seasoned podcaster, so as I say, ideally, I don't want to go down the guest route and just go interview style, because that's kind of so many people do that. And no disrespect to your own podcast and stuff, but I also don't want just to do it on my own, and as I say, just be feeding people, almost like being an instructional thing. But I don't know how to reformat it, kind of, and evolve it, because I seem to be struggling to get co-hosts. So it's either still try and battle away at trying to get a co-host, or kind of reinvent it in some way, for the next 50 odd episodes, and have it, or whatever it's going to be from now on. Like, everything. I'm a big believer in the whole laws of. Now I've forgotten what this is called. I can't remember what it's called now. But anyway, everything obviously evolves and changes in life, no matter what it is. So I'm kind of willing to evolve it in some way and reinvent it, but it would still be nice to have some kind of, kind of, I don't know, personal touch to it and whatever. But I just haven't come up with a kind of anything new right now. And I don't want to move away from it too much. And like I said to someone as well, even if I do that, I like the one friend I have who still has done a few with me. I could still do the conventional, the original format with them. So every few episodes, I could do that. So yeah, I just don't know right now. It's like, obviously I'm busy with the new company, but it's still in my head, and I'm still trying to fathom out how can I kind of like get it going again and kind of, yeah, just keep it going, I suppose, and reinvent it or whatever, make it fresh, or yeah. So it'd be interesting to hear what your kind of feedback would be for that.
I think what you're going through with your show is what everybody goes through. This whole identity crisis. It's good that you're going through it, man, because it will really test to see if you truly want to do it or not do it. I mean, what I would do, right? You mentioned earlier today, you mentioned how your app, Spectrum, will have sort of like a group chat feature or almost like a Zoom meeting feature, right? Well, see, if you record your episodes on Zoom, you could get other hosts from other countries to step up with you and help you to build your episodes. Me, for instance, if you wanted that, I'm not a coach, but once in a while, I'm more than happy to host, co-host an episode with you where we would both research a topic together and put out an episode together, like that. From time to time, not all of the time, certainly, but from time to time, I would help. But that's the thing. You have to decide for you where and what you want to do with your voice, right? Where do you want your voice to be remembered? On a podcast that interviews people like me, a philosophical podcast, a podcast where the people just kind of talk about stuff. Or, I mean, I've heard everything from, and you don't have to be stuck on podcast. I interviewed somebody, and his episode is actually coming out today, a little later today, after we have our discussion, because you understand that there's a list of guests that are ahead of you, behind you, and around you, meaning, we record and then your episode is, in the queue and lined up with all the other episodes that then get, tinkulated out, as I would say. And so the episode that's coming out today actually is a person who, yeah, he is a podcaster like us, and he does have a couple podcasts, but one of the things he utilizes, one of his tools in his toolbox, is he does a lot with Facebook Live. He'll just hop onto his Facebook group, do a live, bring people up to camera, right? So what I'm saying is there's the greatest problem and the greatest dilemma of the podcaster is, I wish I could tell you there's a right way to do it. The only problem is there's not a right way. So that's the answer. I've heard it done that way, right? Some people just put up, just for fun, YouTube videos. You don't need an RSS. You should. You don't need to be on Apple. You should be on Apple. We are. You don't need to be. What you don't need to be is too self-conscious. What you need to be is ready to go and talk. Because when you're ready to go and talk, people do listen. The right people listen to the right thing. And I remember listening to those past episodes of Coach on the Couch thinking, man, this guy's got it. I just love this. And I love the topics you covered. And it really did speak to me. So whether you realize it or not, that was a great product, just like Spectrum. Also, too, you should post around, and later today, I'll add you to my WhatsApp groups, Facebook group. You're already on my email list, mate. By the way, thanks for doing that. Hey, by the way, you know what? It's never occurred to me. I've never done a little promo just for fun right in the middle of my episode. Usually I talk about it in the intro and outro. But if you're listening and you want to be like Martin and you want to be on the email list, well, what's stopping you? Why don't you write a blank email? Put the word subscribe into the subject field, and that address is Aaron's-opinion-podcast, plus subscribe at groups.io. AARONS-OPINION-PODCAST, plus subscribe at groups.io, right? So that's a great skill, right? Having little ways for people to connect with you. I find that Facebook groups, especially private ones, Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups are ridiculously powerful. It's like electric, because the reality is and back to your marketing, your marketing, equation that you'll need to solve. You
Mm.
can really tell who cares about Spectrum if you create a private Facebook group for it and say, to be a member of this group, you have to, I don't know, be a founding member and pay, I don't know, X pounds. Okay. And then you say, okay, these are the people who I'm going to market to. Well, next thing you know, those are the people who buy it, because the people who join private Facebook groups are people who care. And not only are they people who care, but they're people who are the most likely to be committed in the future, right? Now, there's public groups, right? I'm in a lot of public groups.
Mm.
Take, for instance, one of my hobbies, or, well, it's not really a hobby, but it's one of my fixations is snakes, right? I love snakes. I adore snakes. So I'm in a lot of snake groups on Facebook, right? So that's really good for me. I can watch people's pet snakes. Like, nothing's better, okay? But the point is, when you create a group that circulates around your topic, it helps people. It helps you to know who's really in it. And the people who join private groups are people who are interested. So that in itself, and then you can also do, create a little infusion here, a little, mix the spices together, right? You can even add a part of Spectrum to be part of your podcast. In other words, you can have a way where, so you want audio. Well, one of the audio files on Spectrum could be some way of connecting Spectrum listeners or Spectrum users to Coach on the Couch. And then they say, so while you're on your date with someone, well, why don't you listen to a podcast episode together? After all, it's about something that both of you care about if you're already together. So there.
Yeah.
Now you have two more listeners and two more people who bought the product. That's the art of the deal, as far as I'm concerned.
I like that idea. Yeah, definitely that idea. I mean, like, I'm hoping to kind of mix, like, a bit of coaching in with Spectrum as well, from the point of view, I whether I'll do it, I doubt, but I have someone in mind who has been wanting to do kind of relationship coaching and build their own business that way and stuff like that. So I was kind of hoping to have someone who could either do articles and have a space on Spectrum where you have, like, either advice section, or you could have people where you could have your subscribers, if they've got issues, that they can kind of post them, and then this particular coach can kind of then provide answers to, and that kind of thing. So that's another kind of thing on the list that I was kind of considering and looking at as well. So to kind of, again, bring some of everything together of my experiences and skills together. So
Absolutely. Have you listened to other coaching podcasts around the world? In other words, have you found other podcasts within your chart, your category, that do the same thing that Coach on the Couch did, but in America or other parts of the world, Australia, Asia, Africa, have you, because that would also help you to understand different perspectives within your chart and within your interest group.
Not 100%. Well, definitely not like Coach on the Couch. And then a lot of coaching podcasts I've seen and found are mainly around business coaching, and that kind of thing, corporate and business coaching, and I mean, there are kind of personal development ones and all that. I found one YouTube channel where there was these two guys doing something very, very similar, but they only had it. I mean, I haven't gone back to it in a good while. I don't know if they ever continued or not, because there was only really a handful of videos done, but it was a very similar kind of format, and I was really surprised because, like, that's kind of someone else had that idea as well. I'm not saying that that there's so many people in the world that I know I'm not going to be the only one with a particular idea.
And hopefully not, because we need to combine ideas from around the world. So hopefully, and I've always wondered that, because I have found that you're right. There are many long form interview content like me, like Aaron's Opinion, right? But the funny thing, funnily enough, I have actually found that there are very few other blind people. There are many others, but there are not a lot of other blind people like me who do exactly what I do. So you would be surprised or pleased or endeared to know that your coach on the couch would still stand out from the crowd because it's you, because
Mhm.
it's you behind it. Yes, you should network with other people within that chart. You know, each podcast is on a chart. We're actually Aaron's opinion is on the education chart because I believe that this is knowledge. What the conversation we're having now is knowledge for tomorrow. You know, but each podcast is different, right? So that's another thing to think about.
Yeah.
If your podcast, and I forget where it was, probably sociology or philosophy, maybe, or I don't know, whatever chart you assigned it to in whatever hosting platform you were using, will
Mhm.
attract a certain audience. And the ratings that it earned within that podcast are the ratings that go into that chart. So there's a lot of little ingredients of how it moves up and down within the algorithmic system of the universe of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and you're right in terms of like, kind of standing out in terms of the product. That I mean that's
Hmm.
almost the same. Not even with Spectrum. But definitely with coaching and the podcast. Obviously, the unique product is obviously always going to come back to me because it's a person kind of based um, business or service or and show and all that kind of stuff. So and that's kind of, I suppose, I've had even like I had a marketer. I was speaking to a marketer from Facebook one time, and he said, like, he said, what you got to remember is what you just need to be you. And he goes, like, don't worry about all this other stuff out there. He said, because it's all about what you've experienced, what your take is, and whatever, and it's all about how you are. And I was like, well, yeah, that's true, So
But that's very good advice, right? Because
and
until you know you, you couldn't possibly know me. And until I know me, I couldn't possibly know you. And until we know each other, we can't possibly know our audience. So that's a very
and
logical way to
and,
think of it.
and if you look at Spectrum, Spectrum's built on my vision and my drive, and what I see as need solving. So um, I know that's kind of typical for any kind of entrepreneur because it's all about going with your vision and stuff like that. But it's what also why I'm so kind of um, I'm looking at being selective in certain areas in terms of the people I bring on and around me to assist me to run the company because it all has to align with my vision and my values and that kind of thing, and that's really important to me, and it's something that I'm actually just recently being kind of really getting involved with in a kind of or learning and getting and more interested in because it's the way I like doing business is this whole what they call ethical business. It's not all about just profit, making money. Yeah, of course that's there, and we live in that kind of a world. Um, but your business is solving a problem and it's bringing a purpose to society and to the world. Um, and it's kind of or the other kind of term I've heard. I haven't read the book yet. I've gone and got it, but it's called Conscious Capitalism. I don't know if you've heard of that. So I'm yeah, and that really appeals to me. That's kind of really along my kind of my own ethics and my own values and stuff like that. It's all about kind of you're not just making money out of people and just trying to sell them anything or whatever, and making billions off the backs of people and stuff like that. You're doing it because you're bringing value to the marketplace. You're adding to society and making and you have a purpose and stuff, and you're running it according to your purpose. So that really is what kind of what I'm trying to instill into Spectrum as well. So.
Sure. Yeah, that's really important in today's world to make sure that you're ethical and that And the most important thing is that this spectrum thing truly reflects your views, and that it's an accurate reflection of who you are and who you want to, how spectrum should be how you want to represent you, you know.
Mm.
So whatever that is, obviously ethical, right? Obviously it is, but you still want to represent you the right way. And that's a really, really, really subtle thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that the way we behave in society or the products we put out or the posts we post really do reflect us more than we're even ever aware. And that's a really, really important thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So you also did a lot with, software engineering and software programming, right?
My early career history. I loved it at the time. I wouldn't go back into it now, apart from the fact that I've been too long out of it. But yeah, and also I've got like RSI in my left arm anyway through being in computing anyway. So I can't spend too long in front of a computer. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can't sit there coding all day like I would have been able to years ago. So yeah, so I mean, but I loved it. Very different kind of field, but I was younger. It was kind of, I don't know. And I
What
worked for,
what
um,
years was this? What years were you working as the
I,
engineer? What years?
uh, so, well, I went off and did my computer science degree in 1995, and then I worked at Ericsson Telecom from 97 to 2001. And then the whole industry bottomed out. The telecoms and computing industry bottomed out in 2001, and all these telecoms companies were making people redundant. So I managed to avoid the first round of redundancies, but then the next lot I was part of that. So and it was really kind of because all the similar companies were making people redundant. It was so hard to go and find another job doing what you were doing. Just wasn't practically possible because no one was taking people on to do that stuff. So that's why then in the end I had to kind of pivot and find some other avenue. And obviously you couldn't be much different going into health and nutrition from software engineering, like so. Um, but um, I felt I was kind of, as I said, I really enjoyed my time doing it. And I feel I was blessed as well in terms of the company because I really enjoyed the work ethic there, the company kind of environment and stuff like that. It really, they I don't know if they are now, but they were anyway. They were a really good company to work for. I couldn't say much bad about Ericsson Telecom, to be honest, in terms of my experience and my time there. Um, but yeah, and it's great to work for a company like that. So many people work for in jobs that they don't enjoy for employers that they hate. Yeah. So
That's very interesting. So you were going to university. So I'm a young person. So I was born in 91. So you
yeah,
were going to university. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't
I,
realize I was that much
I
younger.
I was 21 when you were born.
So now let's see. Now basically, wait, you were 31 when I was born, right?
No, I was 21. No,
21. So now
sorry, no,
you're,
no, sorry, you're right.
well,
Yeah, I was
well, when on
21.
earth were you born? Well, do
Hang
you
on.
know what you were born?
Yeah, I was. I was 21. What am I talking
Okay.
about? Yeah.
All right. All right. I was just
We won't
starting.
make me 2 years older than I need to be. Um,
Okay. Well, let's go with that answer. So I tell you what, I'll say you're 50. Okay. We'll say you're 50.
you're 5 years off.
So yeah, so that means that when you were in uni, things were very different in the 90s than it was for my generation. It was two totally different things.
Yeah.
Um, I think now a lot of blind people are really afraid to do engineering and software programming. I mean, some do it, but I think there's still a lot of apprehension in that, and not enough people are willing to step up to the plate. And that's
I was the first blind person that the computer science and electronics department at Southampton University had.
and for that matter, you very well could have been one of the first people in England to have that degree.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, really?
I don't know for 100%, but I don't think so. But definitely at that university I was. And that, again, I always seem to pick things where I'm always the pioneering one. It's
Oh,
like
that's great.
when I did my life and business coaching diploma, I was the first blind person in Ireland to have got a coaching, a life and business coaching diploma. So I always seem to pick things and have those challenges, and I'm the one who has to pioneer the way to find the solutions to do these.
Then you'll be fine. Then you'll be fine. Then you'll be okay. If you're the solution solver, if you're the pioneer, you'll be okay. And that's what I try to teach people. You need to be the problem solver, and that's what companies hire. Companies hire people who solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily, apart from many other groupings. But if you're a problem solver, an active learner, a problem solver, that's a huge, huge employable thing, and I think that's really undervalued.
But there isn't any problems. It's all challenges.
Well, that's kind of good. I mean, that's kind of good and bad. I mean, if there's not a lot of problems or there are too many, that's good. But the point is, when a problem does come up, you'll be the one that they go to. I always tell people, you want to be the person in your company that other people come to solve the problem.
But we don't have problems. We can only have challenges, because problems, like challenges are to come, right? Challenges are just a challenge, right? A problem is a problem. So we don't want problems. We just want challenges.
That's also good. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I think if you can overcome the challenge, I think all these ideas will really fall into place, and you'll figure it out. You'll figure out if you're more of a podcaster or if you're more of a, tech entrepreneur. And I think that you could be both, but I know you won't be both, because everybody focuses their energy on what makes them the happiest, and I think you may in fact be happier and happiest creating a Spectrum and really, pouring your heart and soul into that. And I hope that's what you do, because I think it's a really, sure.
I don't know. I think again, I mean, similar to yourself, I think I could be both. Again, I'm back to, I think the podcast will evolve and change if I do carry on with that. In terms, like my heart and soul, even if obviously I want to make Spectrum work. There's a passion there, there's a drive there, I've got the vision for it, I've got all the answers anyone can throw at me, so I'm hoping that I'm making a good CEO out of it. But at the heart of everything, I'll always be a coach and mentor, and I'll always want to do something of that nature, no matter what I'm doing. So that, I think that's where I suppose you can split it, but my heart and soul definitely. I mean, I don't know until Spectrum's further developed, but my heart and soul, right, is always, and I've said for years, is all. Even if I had all the money in the world, that I'd still coach and mentor. So that's kind of just me. So so.
Yeah, that's the right thing, right? If you're doing all these things, then in the end, you're doing the right thing for society. And that's what we need. We need more Martin Flemings. We need more people like you who do the right thing. So that is really, really good. Yeah. Yeah. So, you obviously have this global perspective. So where have you traveled outside of England and Ireland? Where else have you traveled around the world?
Oh, wow. Okay. So I've been to the US a few times. So I've done several different states, from Massachusetts, like Boston, been to California, to LA, and places like Carlsbad and all around there. Been to Florida, Hawaii, like so, Hawaii. I could tell you stories. That was when I went on honeymoon, and that was that didn't work. That didn't run to plan either. But I can't remember a few. Atlanta as well, and then been to Mexico. Loved it there. I'd love to go back there. I'd love to go back to Hawaii. Actually, I felt really at home in Hawaii. I think I'm an island person. So I've been to Tenerife in the Canary Islands. I've been to Spain, and the last couple of years, because I'm the main family holiday planner and organizer. So the last few years, so last year, for summer holiday vacation and stuff, we did 3 cities in Europe over 2 weeks. So we got the Eurostar to Brussels, and we did I can't remember now, around about 4 nights in 4 days in Brussels or something, and then we got the and kind of from Brussels to Amsterdam, which was another Eurostar, but it went from Brussels to Amsterdam, and then we did another X amount of days in Amsterdam, and then we then took another train for 6 hours and went from Amsterdam to Berlin, and spent a week in Berlin basically, and then flew back from Berlin, and then this year we did 3 cities again, but we only did 2 countries this time, just to kind of cut down some of the kind of traveling and stuff. But we did Warsaw and Krakow in Poland, and then we went to Prague in Czechia. So, and and we do Airbnbs, or kind of self-catering type apartments and that kind of thing. We don't. It's kind of. I mean, we do sometimes. We might stay in a hotel. So we're a little bit old for kind of proper backpacking. So we kind of call it posh backpacking.
I understand. Yeah.
So we because the other thing was, my son's mum, like obviously she's the one who has to kind of guide me, and then when we used to go on holiday, and we'd have the kind of the pull along bags or cases and stuff like that, suitcases and things, it was really difficult because she couldn't guide me properly, because like if she was guiding me, it was difficult for me. I couldn't really easily pull my bag. So then if she was pulling both bags, then she couldn't really guide me properly either. So it was a real kind of. So we decided in the end that she kind of suggested, why don't we all get rucksacks? It'd just be a lot easier. Everyone can take their own stuff then as well, and she can guide me properly. So that's how it all kind of started. And then because my son is into a lot of history and stuff, and his mum wanted him to kind of really see as many European cities or European countries as he can. I mean, obviously you're only getting a small glimpse of a place. But it's like just doing one city is like not the whole country. But he can always go back later on. He's got a whole life ahead of him yet. But yeah, so we kind of, that's what kind of grew that. So the last couple of years we've been doing multiple countries in kind of within 2 weeks. But next year's one, which is basically booked already in advance. So as soon as I get back, I'm already planning the next. So next year we've already been to Bulgaria before, but like just the way it happened this for next year, we're doing Romania, we're doing Bucharest, and then we're going on to Bulgaria and just doing a bit of a sun kind of beach holiday kind of for about 6 days, and then we'll fly back. So yeah, so that's kind of, it's just a little bit of a difference, because his mum was saying that she just felt, with all the travelling around, she didn't feel like she was getting much of a holiday and time to relax. So, and then she was kind of coming back here and then kind of going straight back into work. So, so she wanted me to kind of try and build in a bit of a kind of more a beachy kind of end to the holiday, so she could just unwind or whatever. So that's where that's gone. So we'll have to see how that one goes next year. But where else have we been? France as well. We've done France, and I've been to other places in Germany as well. I went to Cologne one time. I've been to Malaga. Oh yeah, that's about. I think that's it.
I think
I've
you
been.
love traveling. I think you love traveling like me. I've been all over Europe too. That's really
Oh, I've
good.
been to Canada as well. Sorry, yeah. We went and spent a month in Canada because we were looking to emigrate one time. When we were in Ireland, we were looking to emigrate, and it didn't kind of happen in the end, and we got ripped off as well with one of these kind of. They had really bad reviews. They were meant to be, the kind of the visa immigration companies that are meant to help you and stuff. And it turned out, and there was actually a big documentary on them actually as well, and they were really bad. So, and we just happened to be one of the ones that got kind of taken by them.
Oh
So,
boy, that's pretty
but
interesting. Yeah.
but yeah, we went and spent a month in Vancouver. That was interesting. So, over Christmas as well, it was.
That's these weird and interesting stuff happens when we travel the world. I love France because I'm a French speaker, of course. So
Okay.
I love France, and the food and the culture and things like that.
Mm.
Yeah. I think
So,
the culture in France is much. The lifestyle is. I prefer the French lifestyle over any other. I really think.
mm.
Um, But then again, there's a lot of challenges when you live in France. So, life is pretty tough there actually for a lot of people. Yeah. Mm. What are some if you like, you don't have to certainly, but maybe do you want to tell us a silly thing that happened on your one of your first honeymoons in Hawaii, maybe something silly that happened or really funny or really interesting because you said you had some stories. If you want to
Uh,
share one. You don't have to, but if you do.
so obviously it's your honeymoon, so we flew all the way over there, 15-hour flight, whatever, and get to um, Honolulu Airport, and no luggage,
Well,
and
that's well,
so
that's a really good thing.
well, it wasn't, because
Oh, okay.
like if you like, I had to take some learning from this. So I mean, and this was kind of years back now. So, but I thought, to be safe, I'll pack all the travellers checks and all that kind of stuff um, into the main luggage, so that, like, we're not having to worry about carrying it all on us and all that, while we're travelling. So we get there, we got no money, no change of clothes. Luckily, they found it was it, they the luggage was discovered at Chicago Airport. It went the wrong way, so they managed to get it to us by the following morning. But
That's incredible.
and
Incredible
then
and not
like,
surprising. Hmm.
and then and when I booked it, and Joy, I don't know whether you could call this a blind moment or not, but anyway, like, you go by description, right? So I I thought, oh, it sounds really nice, romantic, so the hotel, we're meant to be in a room with a sea view, right? So that was like, we get there, well, of course it's got a sea view. It's on the 40th floor. So, I mean, it was just, so there,
Typical.
and they were meant to have had a swimming pool, which was on the fifth floor. Now, I mean, I know it's very difficult to put swimming pools up on because obviously the weight of them, so from a structural point of view, I kind of understand that that's not it's not always easy. But this swimming pool, I mean, we thought like, great, let's go for a swim or whatever. We get up there, and the swimming pool, if you got in it, you did one stroke with your arm, and you're the other side of the pool.
Jeez.
And it was like, well, you can't really swim in this. It's like there's no room. It's like a bath. So the only, you have to find opportunity from diversity, right? So
You know,
so this was
yeah.
this was this was before my coaching days. So I mean,
Sure,
but
sure.
I was kind of into personal development at that stage. So, but anyway, so the only thing we could do to kind of substitute that was use the jacuzzi that was up there, because that was all right, that was a decent size. So yeah, and the hotel didn't have any restaurants, so the only thing we could go and do for breakfast was they had a TGI Fridays next door. So you had to go in there for
This
breakfast.
trip for you, look, this trip for you, here's what it's called. It's called a podcast episode. You were living in a podcast episode on that trip. That's all. It was like a movie you were living in that on that one.
Oh, it
You were
was
just
so
living on a TV show, is what that
fun.
reminds. Like you could
I,
turn that whole thing into a TV show. Look, I mean, the truth is this, right? I've also had a lot of bizarre experiences while traveling, and you just have to laugh and learn from it. And that's kind of the beauty of life. When it happens, it's not fun when it happens to you, but then looking back, you can smile and joke about it, and it is actually pretty darkly hysterical.
yeah.
So, I gotta tell you, mate, I absolutely loved our discussion today. I truly did, from my heart to yours. But of course, before we go, I just want to say, I'm sure you have a lot of questions for Aaron Richmond and Aaron's opinion. So what are some questions you really want to ask me? What are some questions you really want to ask to really see if I'm worth my salt as a podcaster? And what do you really want to know about me? Ask all your questions.
Oh wow. Well, girl, I wish you'd warned me of that one.
I
Uh,
did. So my podcast has been available for the past 5 years. You've had a 5 year warning.
yeah. Um, but wow, I, oh, geez, now you really put me on the spot. I don't know. And I'm going to get off the podcast now, and I'll think of something. You can guarantee it.
Here,
Um,
I tell you what. Let's do
but
it. Let's do it.
if I
Okay.
do that, I'll have to save it up for when you have me back again.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You can
I'm
come
already
back.
inviting myself back.
I'm already requiring you to come back. So you
All
don't
right.
so you don't need to invite yourself, because I'm gonna require you, because you've done so well. You have such an endearing story, and you want to help, and that's really what stands out to me, is how much Martin wants to help other people. I really think your app is a really tremendous idea, mate, because there's so many people who are blind or have other disabilities, who would really, really, really benefit and appreciate that. If it's marketed well and delivered well, I think it'll be a really, really good message. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I just need people to sign up, because the more people who can sign up on my page
mhm.
on the waiting list, the better I can show to future investors of the demand that's needed for it. So it would really help me out if, in terms of, and if there's anyone listening to this who's kind of got an interest in it, even if you're outside of the UK and Ireland at the moment, because it will be kind of expanded later on. I really would, appreciate if people start signing up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've got over 50 people on there, but I really would like to have a lot more than that if possible. So,
Well, so
uh,
now that this is a global knowledge now, because we have listeners in all the countries, really. So, I mean, you'll get requests from all sorts of different parts of the world, really. So this is really
yeah,
good.
that's great. I had one lady, I can't remember whether she was in the US or Australia, and it really touched me, because she was like, when I posted about it, and she went, "Oh, is it going to be available in whatever country?" And I was like, "Well, not straight away," but I said it will be. But she goes, "But even if it's not," she goes, "I'll move." And I was like, "Well, that's dedication for you."
That's
So,
bizarre.
I mean,
That's
it's not.
cute. That's cute and bizarre. I'll move just to download an app.
But it shows that there is obviously a need out there. So
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. The other joke behind all that is with the VPN, you can trick the system to think you're in a country. So you
oh
could have just said, why didn't you just tell her, well, thanks, miss, but you don't need to move. Just get a VPN.
VPN. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I never thought of that. Thanks. I'll remember that for next time.
People, you'd be surprised, and this is something you need to be really aware of, is that people, just because they say they're in a country, I can say that I'm anywhere. People can say they're anywhere just simply
Yeah,
by using software,
yeah,
so that's,
yeah.
and this will become important when you market and set pricing and realize that people are not always going to be honest where they're from because they want to get the
Mm,
best price, which that will always be a thing. You'll always have to figure that out over time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'll have the experts around me to help me with that.
Hopefully
So,
you'll have you have a lot of friends here at Aaron's Opinion who are really ready for another conversation at some point and are really ready to help you in the best and genuine way we can. And you've done so much learning and you've contributed so much. All I can say is thank you. So yeah, mate. If someone wants to get in touch with Martin Fleming, how can you be reached? What's going on and how do we get onto this list? And why didn't you give out your whole contact information?
all of it. So, well, for Spectrum, as I mentioned earlier, it's just go to spectrum.co.uk. It's a UK
Sure.
based domain at the moment. I will be purchasing other domain for kind of when I expand, which hasn't been done yet, and I don't have the finance right now to kind of do that. So once I get some initial funding in, I'll be buying up some of the other domains. What I will want, especially for future people in the US, is spectrum.com is already taken, so it won't go under spectrum.com. It'll probably be something like spectrumapp.com, or it might even be a .app domain instead. So that's just there for future reference. And if people want to contact me directly about it, I mean, it would be better if you can just sign up on the list and you'll get all notifications and everything else that and updates as I go. But if there is any need to kind of contact me directly regards to Spectrum, it's just martin@spectrum.co.uk. If there's any interest in transformational career and business coaching, as either a startup or kind of small business, or you're looking to transition, or you kind of don't know what you want to do in terms of your careers and stuff, then that's my coaching business and coaching practice is called Your Holistic Solution. And that would just be martin@yourholisticsolution.com. That's all one word, no dashes in it or anything. So Your Holistic Solutions is kind of a long, it's almost like German because it's all written together. .com. So yeah, and then I have Facebook pages. So one is under Your Holistic Solution. I've got a Spectrum Connect CIC page, which is the full title of the company. So because Spectrum Limited was taken over here, so I had to kind of change it slightly to get it registered. So it's actually Spectrum Connect CIC, but the app will be just Spectrum. And it will like when I'm doing marketing, it'll be traded as kind of Spectrum rather than Spectrum Connect. So, um, uh, just trying to think that's mainly. So my coaching website is also yourholisticsolution.com. Um, so if people want to go there, and you can book appointments from there, you can look at the types of coaching I do, and various things like that. I think that's really the main ones. I do have LinkedIn pages and stuff like that, but because they're kind of quite long links, I can't always remember them off the top of my head. But I'm sure you'll probably put them maybe into your descriptions, Aaron, and stuff like that for your podcast. But yeah, I mean, but they're the main sources to kind of contact me online anyway.
Sounds great. Absolutely great. Yeah, we'll talk off air a little bit later today about that. But generally, what I do is I tag different pages. So yeah, I'll catch up with you later and make sure that I get those pages. Anyway, at any rate, don't hang up. I want to talk to you for another 30 seconds. You'll see why in just a second. Anyway, he's Martin Fleming, everybody. Go ahead and click that link in the description and learn exactly about all the great stuff he's working on. And if you forgot, I'm Aaron's Opinion. Thank you so much, everybody. That was a wonderful conversation. Until next time, keep podcasting, everybody. Be well out there. And of course, don't forget, help one person today. Help 1 million people tomorrow.